Okay guys, I think we're going to make a bit of a start. We have got one other speaker who's not with us quite yet because she's got a work event. She's going to be a few minutes late, Sandra. But hopefully she'll arrive before we've done all the introductions so that you get them all at the same time. So I just wanted to say, brilliant, we're delighted to have so many of you here. This is our Human Nutrition What Comes Next series for 2024-25. And I am absolutely delighted to welcome Sandro, Emily and Valentina, and Sandra as well, which arrives, and to come and give you a little bit of background into their stories. Now, obviously bear in mind that every single one of you is going to have a very different story, and we absolutely love to keep in touch and hear what you're all doing. So although this is human nutrition, we've got sport, we've got public health, and we've got dietetics here at the moment, and we're getting even more public health applications, hopefully in a few minutes. So I'm delighted to have them all here, and I could introduce them all, but I'd rather that they told you a bit about themselves. So I'm going to ask Sandro if you can start and give us an introduction to you.
Sure, I should have sat by there. But yeah, so my name is Sandro. I guess it makes sense with the name that I'm originally Portuguese. I'm really interested in sport. I've been doing quite a lot of internships when I was in my bachelor's and also when I went to study my master's in Liverpool. And been basically trying to apply as much of my learning as I can, applied areas.
Brilliant. So sports nutrition from Liverpool John Moores.
That's right.
And straight to Liverpool John Moores, or
yeah,
you did?
Straight there.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight.
Fantastic. Do you want to give us a little bit of insight to Liverpool, why you didn't stay here, for example?
Yeah. At least in my situation, I kind of already had done some kind of football internships, so it made sense with a lot of their lecturers had previous experience. They've got a lot of connections with elite kind of environments. They provide a placement module as well. They also have SCNR accreditation. The ISAC body composition is also included in their course, so it made a lot of sense to me to try and basically with my journey to go there personally.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to come back and ask him more, I promise. Emily.
Cool. Hi everyone, I'm Emily and I graduated from Human Nutrition in 2018, which seems like quite a long time ago now. And following that, I went on to do a Masters of Public Health, which I did at Imperial College. And then I went straight on to the career that I'm in now, which I work in research. I'm based at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And my research really focuses on kind of broadly around addressing more the structural determinants of food security and nutrition, so thinking more about addressing the deep-rooted social, economical and political factors that determine who has access to safe, nutritious and affordable foods. And my work is all focused in India at the moment, where I particularly work on designing and evaluating community-based nutrition interventions aiming to improve maternal and child nutrition amongst rural and often marginalised communities.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Emily, thinking about Imperial and then London School, you've gone from post-92 university here to Red Bricks. What do you think your biggest learning from moving from here to there would be?
I mean, I think it was more kind of how I developed as a person, so not necessarily relating to my experience in terms of the university itself. I think I was able to get more out of my university experience because I had developed more as a person myself, and it can make me reflect on things that I would have done differently during my time when I was at Westminster. So for example, just like engaging more with my peers. I really learned when it came to my masters that how much I can learn from just discussing things with my peers. And everybody has different perspectives and different opinions and different backgrounds, and there's so much you can learn from each other. And I really don't think I kind of really realised that so much during my undergraduate studies. I focused too much on finishing my exams as opposed to enabling myself to get a richer experience from my interactions with others. So I think that's kind of what I would say my major difference in my experience was. So I wouldn't say necessarily it relates to the university itself. It was kind of more my own growth as a person and also thinking about what things I would have done differently.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Valentina. So I love Valentina is a alumni from my alma mater, Queen Margaret University in Edinburgh. So I've got a little bit of Scotland here, although you'll hear it's not that big.
Yes, exactly. So hi everyone. My name is Valentina. I am originally from Italy, and I graduated in 2019 from the University of Westminster, Human Nutrition and Public Health. But I wanted to be a dietitian, as simple as that, since the beginning. So I really worked hard to get into master in dietetics, and I did it at Queen Margaret University in Edinburgh. And I have a lot of experience in so many different fields, to be honest, because I love networking, engaging with other people. So actually, I have been working as dietetic assistant, weight management nutritionist, prescribing dietitian, which is mainly malnutrition, and now I am a weight management dietitian. And I really support many charities with volunteering, and I will tell you a little bit more about this. But I have been traveling to South America this summer to support a local community, and I will be traveling to Guatemala next summer to support another community. So a lot of things to talk about.
And with a sporting theme as well.
Yes, because actually, well, if you ask me, I would do everything. So I wanted to be a dietitian, so I choose public health. But actually, I really love sports as well. And well, I am a fitness instructor and very passionate surfer. So this is why I travel to South America. Of course, it's not great to surf in the Thames. So yeah, I am also passionate about surf and sports in general.
Brilliant, thank you, Valentina. And we are absolutely delighted to have the powerhouse that is Sandra back at the end. When I think about a student group, I always think about the person that I would look at and go, yeah, she's not getting it, no one else in the room is getting it. And she always challenged me, which I really can imagine that, right? I always love it. I love the fact that students don't just stop and look at us and expect us to, like, this is what I need to learn. If they don't get it or they don't agree, you can guarantee Sandra's the first one questioning me. So, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Claire. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I am Sandra Jacob. First, I would like to apologize for arriving late. Duty calls. I was delivering a program session just in the community center. Then please accept my apologies. For me, it's an honor to be here. Just 6 years ago, I was sitting over there where you are, and this is great to have the opportunity to listen from different professionals. Then I am a nutritionist. I graduated with Valentina in 2019. I graduated from the Human Nutrition and Foundation degree. I was 4 years here. And my background is in clinical nutrition. I was working with patients with diabetes and pre-diabetes from the NHS. I am also a fitness instructor, a health coach, a HIIT trainer, and a little bit of everything, but everything related with health, with the nutrition and well-being, because now I'm within the public health. I am the Healthy Eating on a Budget program coordinator of a charity called Feast with Us. Then I work with vulnerable people in the community, different groups, even with homeless population. Then it has been a beautiful process of learning and always being curious. Always ask, don't be afraid. Ask the people, do the research, this is very important. Then I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So I think my biggest question for all of you is, what was your experience like at Westminster? So what are the things that you learned from your time here that you're grateful for, that you maybe didn't necessarily always feel grateful for while you were here? Emily, I'm going to start with you for this one.
That's a really hard question. And Sandra, I just want to say I just loved everything you just said. That was super inspiring. I did really enjoy my time at Westminster, and it was funny because we were all just chatting before we started this panel. We almost started a little bit early, and it turns out that all of us seem to want to do the same thing at one point during our career. I wanted to be a dietitian at one point. When I started the course, I wanted to be on one-on-one kind of client-based nutritionist. Then I wanted to be a sports nutritionist, and it was only in my last year that I really realized a passion for public health and nutrition epidemiology. So I kind of went through this kind of spiral of different interests sparking me and igniting something inside me, and so I loved that the course did that. I'm trying to think about something specific I would say I didn't necessarily enjoy at the time. I think sometimes when you're doing little exercises and assessments that you can't see how they directly apply to your exams at the time can seem a little bit pointless and a bit annoying, and you're like, why am I just doing this extra assignment? And one of the ones that I can think about is actually, I think it was in last year, forgive me if I've got this wrong, we did a professional development portfolio, and I remember just being like, why am I doing this? I haven't been to any conferences, my teachers know what I've done, they taught me it, you know, and I thought it was a really frustrating activity at the time, and I was kind of putting it on the back burner for ages. And actually, when it came down to doing it offered so much reflection, enabled me to think where I was when I began the course and what I wanted to do, and how I've evolved to the perspectives that I have now and where I want to go. And I found that a really, really, really useful exercise. And even now, I would say, if you can continue to do some form of professional development, whether it's just reflecting on what you've learned over the last years and continuously keeping on top of that, I would really recommend you do it, especially if you're feeling uninspired. It's something you can look back on and feel like, okay, why am I here? Why am I doing this? So yeah, those little extra activities that might be annoying, trust me, there is something in it for you in those activities. So yeah, just come at that with an open mind if you can.
Brilliant, thank you. Sandra, I can see you jumping to say.
She knows me. She knows me. Yeah, basically, from Westminster University, from my experience, what was the best thing that I got from here?
Me? Just to
Well,
say
the community, the friends that I got here. Basically, with Valentina, Vanusa, Rima, Isabella, and me, we were 5 students. Every week, we met in one of the houses to study, just to study, on Wednesday. For 4 years, we were doing that. Every Wednesday. That was a way to support each other, because you have challenging situations here. It's beautiful that in the university you have the opportunity to have different tools, different resources. You have the library, you have technology, you have the experts, you have networking, you have conference. You have all the tools that you need to learn, to progress, to grow as a professional and as a person. But community is one of those. Trust me. These girls, you know, like my friends, we were called amino acids. Yeah, I know, we were nerds. But just studying together, just for a couple of hours, you know, on Wednesday, or the day that is good for you, that helps you because you push each other, you challenge each other. Maybe your skills are different to my ones, but you can support me with your skill and I can support you with your one. Don't be afraid. As a nutritionist or dietitian, you never work alone. You need to know how to work with a multidisciplinary team, psychologists, dietitians, doctors, GPs. Then learn from that. Don't be shy. Ask. What is the worst thing that you can receive? A no? Okay, thank you. I'm going to go just knock the another door. That's it. But don't be afraid to communicate. When I arrived here, my English was like, you know, I have quite an accent. I'm from South America. Then I was shy. And I remember the biochemistry class in English. So, the good thing, I love math, I love biochemistry, but everything depends on your attitude, the way that you behave. I want to learn more, then I'm going to walk toward that. Okay? Use the tools. That's one of the best things here in the university. Build your community. Trust me, that really lasts forever. Then, yeah.
And can I say something to that? Actually, my story is not so funny because, I cried as well in my first biochemistry lecture. And also in my physiology one, because I couldn't get a word. I moved to London, 6 months, so hearing Bradley Elliot talking about physiology was a nightmare at the time. But I got there. Anyway, at some point around January, I was very discouraged, and I knocked the HIHAB door because he was the module leader, saying, "Please, can you sign my papers? I want to change course. I am going to do tourism at Mary Le Bon." And he looked at me. "No, I am not." And I was, "Please, I thought about it. It is not for me. Biochemistry is not for me. Physiology is not for me. Please, can you sign them?" And he closed the door. And actually, if I am here, it's actually thanks to him that he didn't sign the papers. So it's challenging, it's very challenging. But at the end, if you find a good group of people, the support of your professors, you can make it.
Yes.
I'd like to just point out that these two were with me for projects, and then they both moved to Brad in their final year. So it says that, oh, that physiology was really challenging at level 4, and then they realised the benefit of it as they were moving forward. So I think it's really, really important to give yourself that push. And I remember, Sandra in particular, we had that conversation. You were like, I'm really sorry, I want to do this project, but I need to learn that skill. And it was a challenging one to do.
It's just don't running away of your challenges. Don't be scared to go through a challenge. That's gonna make you strong. You know, you are gonna learn from that. It's never a fail because you will learn something. Then don't be afraid of challenges. Go for it. You have the opportunity. You know.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, just thinking about your stories, I love hearing them. It's brilliant to hear them, you know, a couple of years on as well, to see those differences. What do you think in terms of employment opportunities while you were here? Did you get the doors opened here, or did it sort of spark that interest? Thank you. Did it spark that interest to take you down a particular route? Sandra, do you want to?
Sure. I guess for me, I was someone that was trying to think about that early rather than later. So I remember towards, funnily enough, I also did a foundation, so I was thinking, this is never ending. I need to start getting practical experience, because I knew that, especially in the sports side, where I already kind of knew I wanted to be delving into, it's extremely competitive, and there's people who have already worked there maybe 3, 4 years, 5 years potentially, applying for the same positions you are. And the only way you can kind of compete and give yourself the best chances by doing stuff early, not leaving it till later. Start planning 1 year ahead. For example, with the master's degree, I was already looking 2 years ahead. Okay, which one am I going to do? When meanwhile I was stressing, oh, can I actually get this done first? But just start trying to apply your experience or your knowledge wherever you can. So for me, it was local grassroots football clubs, which then kind of snowballed into semi-pro sports science internship, which also included some nutrition. From then onwards, it was performance nutrition with academies, with a pro football club, and that it kind of snowballs from there. But it needs that first step, the hundreds and hundreds of no's, or I'm sorry, we cannot provide this, or you need to be persistent. And as we've already had some great answers, this is not a easy kind of industry, but it's a rewarding industry. It's one that provides a lot of people with passion, and if you care and if you want to, you need to chase it early rather than later to have that opportunity come through.
Brilliant. Thank you. What about you, Emily?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, didn't really think about it so much until later on, and I think that's also okay. As I mentioned earlier, it wasn't really until my final year at Westminster. I also did a foundation year. We're all foundation year people here, besides you. It really wasn't until my final year that I realised what I wanted to do, and I was interested in doing dietetics, and I went to do some work experience in dietetics. I would really, really encourage you, if you can, even just shadowing, to get a feel if you even like the job that you think you want to go into. Because for me, actually, I realised that's something I didn't want to do. I spent 2 months shadowing someone in a gastroenterology clinic, and it wasn't for me. And that was really eye-opening. It made me think, okay, all right, now where else do my interests and strengths lie? And so, yeah, it was in my last year, really, so I wasn't so forward thinking like you were. But yeah, I guess I really started thinking mostly about my employability during my master's. And I found that really quite challenging, to be fair, because all my peers seemed to want to do pretty much the same thing. Everybody was going into public health consultancy, or as they would just say, consultancy. And I was like, what are they consulting? I never understood it. Oh, just consulting. They had all these big company names that they talk about, and how they had a friend that knew a friend and got them an interview here, and I just wasn't interested in that at all. And that made me quite anxious, not really having someone to speak to. I didn't really know anyone that was directly involved in research. So I just reached out to a bunch of people via LinkedIn and asked some of my professors, where might be a suitable place for me to look for jobs and so on. So yeah, it was quite, it wasn't so forward planning, but it did all work out okay. So yeah, don't worry if you haven't done it now, basically.
So you've all talked quite a lot about networking so far. What do you think about the networks that you've got from here? Was there any mentors, for example, while you were an undergraduate that you used?
Me?
Yeah.
I think that I tried to learn from each of the teachers, you know, what was, because if you are seeing models, if you are receiving different information from different factors about nutrition, about dietitian, then you can learn from all of them. But I was quite supportive by Claire, you know, thank you so much for that. And I think that one of the good and very important opportunities that the university bring me related to mentoring and opportunities was the volunteering.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know that you say, oh, but how you can volunteer if you need to work because London is very expensive and you have a full-time degree. Just volunteering 2 hours per week is like another model, right? In my case, I volunteered in the Royal Free Hospital. I learned the dynamic within the hospital because my aim at that time was to become a dietitian. You know, everything changed, everything changed, right? Then volunteering in different things. Maybe your one is not a hospital, maybe it's a community center. Now I'm working with volunteers, with the students who are helping me to deliver the nutritional resources, to delivering the e-books for nutrition, to apply nutritional analysis. Then all those things, even 2 hours per week, give you the experience, give you the networking. Then volunteering is key. Having a mentoring depends on what you like. I love biochemistry. I really like biochemistry. You know, I was talking with Claire as well. Sugar, Claire, sugar, please. You know, I'm obsessed with sugar, reduce sugar consumption. Then just identify those subjects that you really like and identify the person who is an expert in that field. Ask them, where did you study? What were your projects? Can you please let me know about your research? You know, maybe I want to go more, to learn more. You know, go always one step forward. Don't stay only with what the university gives to you. No, go, look for more, because this is science. Science evolves every day, and we need to keep up to date. Then, yeah, sorry, I talked too much.
And on that, I want to add that I actually use the mentoring service from the university, and I have been paired with a final year student. She was amazing, to be fair, but she really helped me to write and to organize my cover letter to send for my master in dietetics as well. So this is a great service. And also networking among peers, because well, I wanted to be a dietitian. It was very clear for me what I wanted to do, so I knew that I needed volunteer experience. And now he's one of my friends. He is 1 year younger. He actually told me about a charity here in London, probably you know it, the food chain, where they were getting dietetic assistant volunteers. So thanks to him, I got to know the charity. I got this position, and this really helped me. First of all, to get my first job, because they clearly state, we got you because you had this experience. And secondly, for my master in dietetics. But then I also volunteer in other things. Anyway, take on every opportunity and talk. And stalk people on LinkedIn. This is also very helpful, because if you're confused as me, checking on literally the career pathway or the university pathways of other people can really help you to, well, get to know new companies, new pathways, or literally get your ideas more clear. I still do it, so.
So I would recommend that you all get a photo with at least one of them today, get it onto LinkedIn, tag them, make all those collections as you go forward, because it really, really does work. And obviously we've got lots of events that we do here, that you'll meet extra people, from both people that have been here before and that are external, and try and find those things. So I'm going to ask you a slightly more dodgy question. What is the thing you hate most about your job right now? Let's be fair, there's always something. Jane, marking?
I love marking.
You love marking, I know that. Sandra, what's your least favourite
That's
thing?
very clear for me.
Go on, Sandra.
Traveling in the tube at 8 a.m. with my kitchen equipment, because I have to deliver sessions. You know, the program sessions involve nutrition theory, and we finish all the session cooking all together. Then can you imagine with my bag, my laptop, the material, for the session, and the trolley, at 8 o'clock in the morning. Some of the stations, they don't have lift, then definitely that's the worst session. That's the worst part of my job. But when I arrive there and I see the faces of the people and I see, how they enjoy, and at the end of the session, I'm just grateful. I say, thanks God, because I love what I do. I love to talk, to build that community, with them, and to have a good impact in people's lives. Then at the end, it's more the positive. It's London. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I must admit, I remember taking a fat suit with me to do a talk at a group of builders down in the southeast, and it was like a ridiculous 10-kilogram fat suit that people had to wear and then walk up and down stairs. I had to get it there, and I was sweating by the time I arrived. And then they refused point blank to put it on. And I was like, you have to, because I'm not standing and doing the top wearing this suit, getting sweaty. But it is hard work to do that.
Yeah. Then at the end, you try to figure it out. What is the most functional way to do your job? And for example, I just talked now with the community center because it's over 6 weeks program. It's like, okay, I'm gonna leave the spices here, the olive oil. I don't need to carry with this every week. You try to go to agreements with the place where you are working with, just to make your work a little bit easier.
Perfect. What about you, Sandro?
Hate, I think is a strong word. There
Yeah.
are things I dislike, things that I find challenging, as anyone would. For example, working with athletes on a constant basis, they are extremely unreasonable when it comes to food. They're so picky, so incredibly lazy. It'll literally be something that could be on that table over there. Oh, can you get us a drink? I'm not getting it. It's understandable. They just, on some days, they've just finished training for an hour and a half. They did a gym session right after. They're completely, their mental is completely drained, physically completely drained. Managers maybe had a conversation or two, and they're probably like, okay, just give me food, or I won't eat it and leave. So it's difficult to get players to follow your instructions, even though they want to follow them. But I think it's then what makes you a good professional is to make it in a way that you combat those challenges. Okay, he won't get the, let's say, fruit juice for himself. I'll go and put it on his table. Oh, fancy a fruit juice, Jack. And he'll go, oh yeah, I'll have it then. But it's making those extra steps to make those extra percentages of changes and building those relationships with players, really. Because you're not going to get through to someone by going, so what do you have today? And they'll be thinking, well, I'm not going to tell you, you're going to tell me. So if you have that relationship with someone, they're more open, you're actually able to make a change. So that's what I would say.
Let's be fair, how many of you always eat what you think you should be eating when we're looking at the behaviours? Dave does. You're good.
Yeah.
Well done you. What about you, Emily? What's your disliked parts
So
of work?
interestingly, I'd say the things that I dislike are also the things that I love at the same time. So, and you just go through these cycles of loving them and then disliking them. So academia is really challenging. It's a very competitive environment, and you always need to be innovative and producing novel research that no one else has done. It's not just about repeating the process over and over again. And of course that can be very tiring, it can be academically, mentally challenging, but I also love that because I'm always being challenged. It gives me the opportunity to be innovative, to be creative, it enables me to drive my own research and research things that I'm generally really passionate about. And I would always say that if you are generally interested in going into research, you will do much better if you are passionate about what you're researching. I'd say that's really important to be successful in that field. I'm sure you can be successful without being passionate, but I think it will be much harder. And kind of within that as well, I travel a lot with my work, so most of my research is all based in South Asia, and I also travel to Africa a lot, and I absolutely loved that when I just started working in academia when I was 22 years old. Yes, 6 months in rural India, amazing, what a fantastic experience. But as I've got older, that's become increasingly challenging, being away from loved ones. So if you are thinking about a career that involves quite a lot of challenge, a lot of traveling, it's worth just kind of thinking about whether that will fit into the life that you want to build, or maybe doing it a bit early on, especially because sometimes you can be in environments whereby you don't speak the local language, you don't have any of your home comforts, there's very little infrastructure, it might not be particularly safe for you to wander around your own, and that can be really quite isolating. So I do struggle with that. Sometimes I get tears when I go away for work, I miss my partner, but at the same time I then get to go and see the women that we're working with and developing interventions, and that I absolutely adore. And seeing the women that we work with, they are so incredible, and often we kind of think of these people as having all these nutritional issues, and we frame it from the perspective of, oh, we need to improve their nutrition, improve their health, but actually when you go and sit down and speak with them, you're like, wow, these people are really quite amazing considering the limited resources and opportunities that are available to them. So simultaneously get very upset and cry about it sometimes, but at the other time, as you can see, I'm also super passionate about it too.
Brilliant, thank you. What about you, Valentina?
Well, I come from a different perspective, and I think the most challenging part of being a dietitian is the high pressure, because you have to see a lot of patients, which is great because you know you're doing well, but it requires a lot of mental clarity, and sometimes it's very hard to detach yourself from the situations that you are living, because again, I am working now in weight management, so there are a lot of eating disorder cases, and sometimes it's very hard to let, when switching off your laptop or well, I am working remotely, for this I am saying laptop, switching off and detaching from that and leaving everything behind is extremely challenging. So something that I want to emphasize is taking care of your mental health and finding at least half an hour, 1 hour is better, to do something that you love, to relax and see things with more clarity, because it can be really tough. And you know you're doing very good things, on the other side, when you start to see 10 or 12 patients per day and they have all very challenging stories, it gets tough. And I am not even working for the NHS, so this is actually quite high demanding and tough.
So, do any of you have any regrets about something you didn't do while you were here at Westminster?
Yeah, I do. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Yeah. I like to study. I'm kind of nerd. But I put too much pressure on my shoulders. Just because to achieve the best, to focus sometimes in wrong things that mark being the best, and that I regret, don't have too much fun, don't enjoy the moment. Yes, I'm learning, I'm studying, but just being kind to myself. I pushed myself so much when I was here. Then yes, I regret that.
You all pushed each other, the 5 of you. It was brilliant to watch, I have to be completely honest, because they were very much that little supportive network, bounced ideas off each other, but you were competitive within your group as well as within the cohort.
We push each other, but at the same time, we have that net of the community. Then, maybe I focused too much, putting, it was a lot. But thank you.
Does anybody need to know whether you got first class with 70 or with like 90%? I guess that's the way to think about it, right? Still first class.
Yeah, I remember for
I
me to get a 75. Why no, Claire? What is this? No. Yeah, at the end, it's not about the mark. It's about your attitude. It's about how you handle, the situation. Then, don't push too much pressure on your shoulders. Enjoy and focus. Focus on what you want to learn, not in the number that you get.
Thanks, Sandra.
I'd like to say I agree with that. A lot of times I would focus so much on, how did I get this? Oh my goodness, what do I need to do now? What have I done wrong? And I, especially as it got to the last year of my bachelor's, which was in 2023, And then in my master's, I started looking at things as like opportunities to learn and give it the best go I can, and that was really a much better way of approaching things instead of thinking, right, I need to get 100% or it's rubbish. So that was really helpful in terms of Westminster as well. To add something else, I guess, it's that I was commuting here all the time, and I really missed out on that community aspect that you two are particularly speaking about. Even though I did try every now and then to do those things, it'd be very much for specific modules or specific assignments coming up, and it didn't build that kind of relationship that I would have wanted, not only with the other classmates I had, which we would have been able to help each other, just like Sandra's mentioning, but also with lecturers and other people that may have been able to help me progress.
Yeah, really useful to hear. It's funny, I've just done my 30-year start of university anniversary get-together in Edinburgh with, well, there was 4 of us that were there from day one, and it was just so much fun to go back to Edinburgh and go back to where our campus was, and it doesn't even exist anymore, it's now a housing estate, but it's really interesting to go back and see them and relive those stories. So yeah, I'd encourage that while you can. What about you, Emily?
I relate to exactly what you just said. I don't think I had so much of a sense of community either when I was at university. I had a part-time job, but I think I worked too much. I probably didn't, of course, I needed to, and I'm sure some of you guys also need to work part-time to support yourself. But I probably took that a little bit too far, and I found like my university experience in some parts was quite mechanical. I went to the classes to learn the content, to do the exams, and I didn't get involved in any other activities or societies or clubs or anything around it. And actually when it came to my masters, I was, again, really thought like, oh, I really regret that. And I tried to like pile so much on during 1 year during my masters, which is really quite tough during a masters. I joined like the rowing club, and I joined all this like random stuff because I felt like I hadn't done that during my undergrad. So yeah, if you can get involved in those kind of things, I really would encourage you to do so. And this relates to what I was saying earlier in terms of it also gives you an opportunity to learn from each other more, because if you just come to class and you just listen to the teacher and then go home and study the content, you're missing out on probably like which is the richest part of university, which is interaction with each other. So please do take that opportunity as much as possible.
If I can add on to that, the whole kind of point of us coming back as alumni is for you guys to, I guess, understand the importance of networking with other people in your class, other people who are teaching you, because at the end of the day, it's going to be great if then a few years from now you're sitting in our position, you're going, you know what, I took those opportunities that were told to me, I tried to make the most out of it, and here I am trying to tell you so you're able to be in a similar position where you're happy with what you're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to be honest, like having one of my students become my manager would just be like, you did that, that's amazing. And you know, when I've given you a 75, Sandra, not a 95, I want you to kind of go, do you know what, that's all right, Claire, I learned all those skills. It's fine. She'll still give me a hard time as my boss, I guarantee you. What do you think, Valentina?
So just one thing to add, community is very important at in undergrad level, because when you do a master, especially if you are thinking about going into dietetics, is extremely competitive. So it's very challenging to build connections there. And on my personal aspect, probably I could have been a little bit more open-minded because I had a very clear idea, but now after being a dietitian for a few years and getting more closer to public health, I am thinking how can I redirect my career to be more close to public health, and I'm considering actually a PhD. So it's just about, it's great to have a goal, but just be a little bit open-minded. And one thing that I regret, I could have spoken a lot more like with Regina, because she was my tutor, and now I want to get into public health, so I could have made the most of that at the time.
I think that's actually a really good point. I think we have some tutees that we see all the time, and I love it. I get to know them really, really well, and others you never see at all.
So one time in 3 years, and now I am desperate to get into public health. So.
And all these dietitians that do realise they want to come back, so keep that in mind.
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
Sandra learned before she went and did the MSc. But
Yeah.
so interesting. So I want to wrap up a little bit because I want to know your questions for anything else. You don't want to. I'd talk to them for hours. I think it's really, really interesting. So they're always hear different people's ideas and their perspectives. I know from my first day at university, it wasn't what I am doing now, not even close. I mean, I wanted to go into market research or product development and that side of things. So a little bit like you, Dave, in terms of going into product development and food science. And I didn't get anywhere close to that because I was better at the epidemiology. I knew that it was the numbers that worked for me. Are you doing now what you think you want to stay doing? Or is there going to be something next? What's that next goal?
When I started here, I never thought to go to public health. Never.
I confirm that.
I want to be clinical nutritionist. I want to become dietitian. You know, everything was about clinical, about that biochemistry, because I love to test things on myself. You know, like what is the impact of this food in me? You know, like all of this stuff. But things change. Things change. You open doors. You have that networking. You know, and by volunteering, by saying, okay, yeah, let me try. You get a lot of opportunities to learn new things, and now I love it. You know, I love it because what I do is for the community. Then I relate with Valentina when she mentions about being in front of the screen, you know, with the 12, 14 patients. That was my job during the lockdown. Lockdown. Mental health, just 30 minutes to do the clinical notes, the calls, everything. That was quite challenging, you know. And at the end, it's very important that you enjoy and have that passion with what you do. Then it was not clear at the beginning that I wanted to go to public health. It was not even in the list. But look, now I'm so grateful to have this opportunity, and I'm continuing learning, you know, because I'm always asking, what do you do? How can I help? Maybe an international, let's go. You know, like, I'm always saying, yes, life is only one. Life is only one. Just be open. Yeah.
What about you, Emily?
This is a really tough question, I think. So I think there's always a thing that the grass is greener and that other jobs might give you more fulfillment. And I think there's a lot of people that are in jobs that they don't have a passion for or interest for, and they just go to work and come home and it doesn't excite them. So based upon that, at the moment in my life, I am really happy with where I am. I feel fortunate that I can go to work and do something that I'm just generally passionate about. It's very, very challenging, and I think that is the element that makes me ever look a little bit elsewhere, think, oh, can I do something that's a little bit easier, that requires less mental strain each day? But in reality, I would have to sacrifice the fact that my job aligns with my passion for principles of equity and social justice, and I wouldn't feel like my job aligns with my moral values as much. So for me at the moment, like having a job that aligns with something that I'm passionate about morally is the most important thing. I'm not to say that won't always be the case. It might be that one day I want to make a little bit more money, which of course is always nice, but that's not always how to get your dream job either. So yeah, for now, I'm happy for now.
Cool. What about you, Sandra?
I've got a boring answer, to be honest.
That's all right.
I already knew what I wanted to do. I was quite someone that was quite looking forward to where I wanted to be. I was, as I said, planning years ahead of time, probably to my poor mental health. I knew I wanted to work specifically in football. I mean, if you're Portuguese and you don't like football, maybe you're Portuguese. So I knew I wanted to get into it. I knew that's what I want to do, and even now I know I want to get to the very top. And eventually, the idea would be, if the opportunity arises, work with the team that I support, and hopefully win something big.
He's scared to say which one it is in case you all go against
Go
him.
Yeah. No, I can't say. No English team. I can say it that way. That
Not
was-
an English team.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We still boo for you in the World Cup.
Still
So
won't
still
miss
that same goal.
Yeah, I'm a bit, what's the word, stubborn. Yeah, very stubborn. And I just stick to my guns, even when sometimes I shouldn't. And it's the same with this goal. I'm going, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard. It's already been, and it already is. But I'm not about to say, you know what, I've had enough, because it is competitive even on the sports side. I can't say it's more competitive than the other sides, because I don't know. But it definitely is very competitive. So if you want to do it, stick to your guns and give it your best shot. Because as we've been speaking about, don't have any regrets. Yeah.
I think that's a really good advice. What about you, Valentina?
So I have no idea. So I am grateful to be a dietitian, and I've worked so hard to become a dietitian. I don't think weight management is my specialty, to be fair. And as I mentioned, I am passionate about sports, public health, about everything. So I am not sure where I'm going to end up, but I know that I will keep networking and experimenting and trying to see what I like. I noticed that I do a lot of experiencing and I cross out what I don't want to do, so I have a long list for that, but I am still trying to figure it out. So as I mentioned, next summer I am going to South America. I will spend 1 year there working in a local community, and I'll see if I really like public health, and if not, I just try to find my way doing something else, which I don't know.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, I hope that's inspired you enough to have some questions, so that it's not only me that's going to ask any questions. Anybody got a burning question? You know what I'm like. I've got questions coming out of my ears. Anybody want to ask anyone anything? Oh, you're all so shy. What's wrong? It's not what you do to me when I give you a new assignment deadline or something. Come on. No? Yeah, go for it. Heidi. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm the person who always.
I love that you always ask questions. It's good.
This question is for
Sandro?
what are your main tasks in the current role you're doing?
So, I mean, I'd say my latest role, currently I'm not in a role, but I'd say I was working with the first team at Tranmere Rovers as part of my placement on my Masters. There was some, how do I put it, labour tasks which weren't as fun. I'll put it plainly and nicely, hydration testing isn't very fun when you're doing it every single time you're in, but then making loads of protein shakes isn't very fun either. Hydration, electrolyte, you can have some mundane tasks, but those are important to then fuel the players to get to what they want to do. And then you can work on them on, if it's menu planning with the chefs, if it's working on food plans with a specific player, if it's speaking to a younger player who's simply pedantic when it comes to, oh, I don't like the taste of creatine. And you've got to tell them, look, whatever his name is, this is what creatine does, this is why other players have it. What's the problem, what was the issue that you're having that you're not having it? It could be something as simple as that to you trying to work out and explain to the whole team, okay, we've got 2 games this week, we need to prioritise our carbohydrates because of it, and trying to explain to them what to do. The easiest way to answer your question, I think, is the main responsibility of a nutritionist, from my perspective, is to give information to players, in my perspective, in the simplest and most effective way for them to use it. So instead of saying loads of nutritional knowledge, which is going to go in one ear out the other, just tell them, you got to eat carrots, it's good because. And they'll go, okay, carrots good, I eat.
And is it always the players, or do you have to speak to the coaches and the S&C as well?
Yeah, at times there is difficult situations where, for example, lots of coaches like body composition testing, and if you're working with an academy and some players are 16 and they're not fully mature and they're getting measured quite a lot of times, that does come a kind of a difficult ethical and moral kind of problem there where you need to speak to the coach, say what are we actually looking at here? Is this really that important? Are we considering these potential mental health issues that may be coming because of this? So I guess that's why I really like this job, because it allows you to do so many things and link to all that you kind of learn.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of my answer, if that helps.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Is there a second part of that question, Heidi? I know what you like. There's always two.
Oh, no. At me. At the beginning, I was a little bit like Sandra. Because I have professional background in public health, working in some projects, public projects. But now I would like to explore more about exercise. We never know. So just, I think second year, because I'm in the second year, is quite important to start like thinking or exploring things. So I'm agree with you, Sandra, to explore and to use every single source that university is giving you. So I'm trying to apply as many internships or things that the university is giving me. But it's quite challenging when you have assignments and things.
Time.
But yeah, I mean, that's all my question, because I'm just exploring sports.
Yeah.
Remember that information, the information that you gain, give you power to take decisions.
Yeah.
And everything that you learn, you will apply in any of the fields that you choose. In my case, for example, I start as a fitness instructor in a community center while I was in the university. I was working full-time studying here, Then I learned the interaction about health and people asking me about nutrition tips, but I was studying, right? After that, I moved to the clinical nutrition. Then I learned about the effects of food in your body, specific things, specific health conditions. And all of that give me the foundation to now put together programs for groups in the community. And now I'm learning and developing another skills, food teaching, Maybe in a few years I will be teaching here. Why not?
Why not? Credit department here with that.
I don't know yet. But all these skills help you build that professional that you want to become.
Yeah. I can't believe you've got no questions. Go for it. Oh,
Well, I have a question for Sandra as well. Obviously, I'm interested in sports and performance nutrition. And my question was, during your undergrad, were you able to find any opportunities for you to make some sort of relevant experience in the field that you wanted to work?
Yeah. I use LinkedIn a lot, like some of us have already mentioned. That really helps to connect with as many people as you can. It's going to sound a little bit embarrassing. My girlfriend connected with a lot of people, just that I was relevant to. She literally used and connected me to everyone. So then it'd say, you've been connected for like 5 months. And meanwhile, I didn't even know who this person was. And I'm looking, okay, I've got an extra time. I need to go and try to apply this knowledge like you're mentioning. And I'd look at, first of all, what kind of things I'm passionate in. So for me it was football, for you may be the same or a different sport. I look for local clubs who won't have that specific support. So it may be all the way from, the highest level, depending on the sport. So for example, in football, you can't go up to Chelsea and go, hiya, do you want nutrition support? But for example, League 2 clubs, League 1, National League, and so on, all the way to semi-pro clubs, it doesn't really matter what kind of level you get, it matters what you do there. So, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with Dover Athletics, a semi-pro club. I just went there and applied for a sports science internship. They didn't mention anything about nutrition, but I thought, I'm going to send in, obviously nutrition based. They got me in there and said, look Sandro, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. You can go and fill out and help out the sports science side, and then to reward you for doing that and to enable you to have some professional development in your field, you're able to speak to some of the younger players who need this nutrition. So I'd encourage you to do all of that and speak to loads of people. It doesn't matter if they say no, as I think Sandra mentioned. It doesn't matter if they say no. It really doesn't, because you're never going to meet them sometimes. So just keep portraying yourself in the best way. Hi, my name is this. I'm studying this. I'm really keen to apply myself. Whatever it kind of takes, just be willing to say yes and give up your time, because you might thank yourself in a few years. Does that help?
And also I want to say that nowadays, especially online, there are a lot of networking opportunities. There are a lot of groups, like for example, to name a few, nutrition graduates, the Nutri Tribe, and there is Zoe Griffith, who is a public health nutritionist who is amazing, and they share a lot of opportunities. And I would really say to get in touch with them and connect. They share a lot of opportunities, both for working and volunteering.
Nutrition graduates is quite a difficult one because you're not supposed to join it until after you've finished, but loads of people do, and we will forward things on. So things like Zoe Griffiths, when she posts things, then Jane and I will send it round via Westminster Nutrition Society and whatever, which is really useful. I know Zoe quite well. So Magdalena, you were going to ask a question.
I had the exact same question.
Oh, was it?
Thank you.
Okay, in terms of LinkedIn, when you're going on to LinkedIn, do you think it's a good idea to start with Westminster and people that are alumni as a first place to start, or would you go wider?
Personally, I would go wider. Because I started looking at master's degrees 2 years before I was done with this one. I was having conversations with the head of the master's degree to say, look, this is where I want to get to. This is the best course to help me to get to this situation. And then have those conversations. They're going to remember, oh, there was some kid, and it helps that my name is Sandra. Not many people have that name, funnily enough. Sandra has a similar name, so typical that I say that. But it's good to reach out and speak to loads of people. They may not help, they may help. The only thing you're losing is your time, and that's going to go away anyways. You're going to lose time, whatever you do, so try to make use of it. I mean, for example, reached out to loads, even people in Westminster as well, obviously, but all the way from Liverpool, Scotland, Huddersfield, Twickenham, every single place that you can think of that offers this sports nutrition master's degree, I was speaking to them for opportunities or just to get more insight about masters, for me personally. So I really give everything a go, in my opinion.
Brilliant. What about you guys? Do you think Westminster is a good place to network? So if you look for alumni on LinkedIn, or do you look more widely?
I always look wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's important. I mean, you have different professionals working in different fields, right? And it's important for you to knock that doors as well. Obviously, you have the guidance and the expertise in the alumni group, right? Guidance. Sometimes it's easier, okay, you have been in my university, maybe that if you are a shy person, you can feel more confident with that before talking with a professional, and you can ask for advice as a first step here in the alumni, and then you straight away go to that person. For me, I have to work with volunteers, and sometimes training students, because I lead as well students placement from King College, from UCL as well, to work with me. And I prefer for them coming to talk to me. I can see, what would you like, I can see the attitude. Then don't be afraid. Ask for guidance to the experts and then apply it. Yeah. Knock yourself the door. Yeah. That's the way.
So I find it really interesting because if I look for another job, I'd go who from Westminster, who from Imperial, who from QMU has worked there as well, and I'd look to see if I knew them or we've got anything in common, because I find that really useful. But I don't think I'm as good at using LinkedIn as you probably are.
I don't think I am either.
I find it really interesting that there's different fields that use it, and actually Jane and I were at an event last week and all the speakers said, go on to LinkedIn. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I took a photo and then went, I'm not in the photo, I can't exactly tag myself. It's like a photo of other people.
Yeah. But sorry to interrupt, but no. You have to be very careful as well, depend of the company or the charity or the place that you are working with, because there is a safeguarding and you need a consent from that person that is in the picture. It's not the same. For example, I work with a multidisciplinary team. We have our marketing coordinator. Then it's completely different. For example, when I have a session, I provide the marketing material. Okay, Farah, look, we were in this session, you know, this is the consent, do the post. But it's different to what I post, for example, in my LinkedIn. I can't just share the same post and comment. But for me, put it in my LinkedIn, I am not going to put, for example, the pictures of the people that was in that group. Makes sense what I'm trying to say? And always respect consent form, right? And always be careful about this. Like consider what are the rules, what are the marketing, you know, agreement of that company that you are working with. That is very important.
Yeah, really important.
And also something that we didn't mention is the career service from the university, which is, I mean, I graduated almost 2 years ago from my master in dietetics, so I use a lot also TIS service, so I cannot remember precisely what I did with Westminster or Queen Margaret, but I am using TIS services a lot. So make the most of that because they can help you with preparing for interviews, checking your CV, your LinkedIn, and suggesting you jobs that might be suitable for you. And it's free, so make the most of that.
100%. I have to be honest, I think our career service here is unbelievably good. It really is. And you can access it, remember, for a good few years after you finish as well, which is brilliant. Really, really good. Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. My question is general to all of you. When you apply for your masters, while creating your CVs and your personal statements, apart from the work experience and obviously the grades, is there any niche that you focused on or any way that you tried to make your CV stand out?
I think it really depends on the master you're applying for. Because like if you're applying for a master in dietetics, yes, it's very important to have a niche. Like probably one of the reasons why I got accepted is because I had a specific work experience both in community and acute, and both in pediatrics and adults. So I mean, I did everything I could to stand out. But probably if you're doing a master in public health or sport, it's different, I guess.
In my perspective, or at least from my point of view, it wasn't that different. I was really
okay.
trying to market myself based on my experience and say, look, not only have I got what you asked for in the requirements for this master's, but I've also got, in my experience, 1.5 years worth of experience in professional all the way to grassroots clubs, which they offer MSc anyways, which is for Paul John Moore's like half a season. So I've already got more than they're offering, so it's hard for them to, and there's,
Yeah, exactly.
well, I'm not one to brag in those senses, but it's hard for them to go, well, this person's obviously qualified and will benefit from our course because of this. So just try to do it that way, see what gives your best quality and try to harness that towards whatever MSc you're applying for, in my opinion.
Yeah, can I say something? Okay. I bring this to show you, all of you, this is a really practical tool, at least for me. You know, when I apply for a job or when I want to update that cover letter or that application, I always print the JD, the job description of that you are applying for, and I always write down after the interview the questions that they make to me and my answer. And this is helping me. I have all the jobs that I have been applying here, you know, and all the preparation that I have done, from the masters, you know, from even the volunteering. Everything is here. Then I know what are my skills, why well-being, why a health coach, you know, all of that. That helps you. This is a database for me. You know, when I need to update my CV in LinkedIn, it's all there. That's it. Job done. And this is a reflection as well for me, because you have tough days. We all have that, you know. Then I go back. Okay, maybe in this job, yeah, you know, like what are the skills that I want to learn? Job descriptions are key. Your skills, your attitudes, here. Just write it down. Have a journal about that. If you are an IT person, just have an Excel. That's it. I love Excels as well. Just put it there. But it's always helping you. You don't need to, again, create your CV. No, it's everything there. And I just wanted to show you.
I think what's fabulous about looking at that just from across the table, there's about 18 different colours in there, different handwriting. It's not a static document and it doesn't need to look beautiful.
No.
It's the way that your brain works. You're going to write a list. Like, I mean, you know what I'm like, I scribble as I'm thinking. You know, there's a word will come down and it won't make sense to me when I look at it necessarily tomorrow, but I might have to come back to it and then rewrite something on top of it. And I'm a big new colour. So that's my new thing of thinking about it. And then I might not want this anymore. I might rewrite it. I lose this. I lose the process of reflection and coming back over it. So those of you who are in your final year, you're already learning that skill as part of your project. And I know what Sandra's notebook looked like when she was doing her project, because it wasn't, I've been in the lab and it all worked. I was in the lab, what on earth happened? I need to learn from this. And the frustration in a way is really, really powerful, because when you go back to it and you're trying to understand, you're learning from that, revisiting all the time and talking to other people. And I mean, you guys did have a really good network, so it was a group project, working together, learning from that multidisciplinary side, which is really useful. And it's great to see you're still doing that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
I mean, this was the second lab book, because I submitted 2. No one, I submitted 2. So I have some extra space here. I said, okay, let's use it. Then since I graduated, it doesn't matter it was a really high quality job that I was applying for or just a volunteering. That's an experience for me, because you are talking to different professionals.
Yeah.
They challenge you in so many ways. Then just write it down. You know, when you finish the interview, just go in your phone, and then you pass it to your notebook.
And can I just say, she has these for assessments as well, guaranteed. I'm right, haven't I? Yeah. So when we give you all that feedback, we work really hard on it, at least we know there have got a couple of students like this that are going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. But that's really, really important to learn from, because it is hugely important as part of your skill development.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love that students do that. Even with a 90, she'd still do it. Why did I drop 10%?
Yeah. And identify the more practical way for you to get information. In my case, my brain works as a brain maps, like colors, highlighting ideas. I really need to use my pen and my paper. Valentina was IT. She was everything in it. For me, all school. Like, I need the paper, I need to write down, because that's the way that I make sure that my brain is getting it. Valentina is 5 seconds. Done. Come on, Vale. But then we work together in a different way, but we support each other. Then, identify the way that works for you and just do it.
I guess in terms of self-reflection, a really big thing for me was recording myself. So after I came back, it was one day on the placement, I'd come back, and it's part of the SCNR accreditation anyways, to have self-reflecting. So if you want to be a sports nutritionist, it is something that you're going to really need to get a grasp of, and you're really going to benefit from. Record yourself. What did you think? What were the key things you did? What were your thoughts? What could have done better? And then re-listen to them maybe a week ago and go, oh yeah, that happened. Oh, maybe I could have done this, this, and that. And in terms of your CV or cover letters, as we mentioned earlier, networking is really important. If you don't know someone, it doesn't matter. Go, hi, Jimmy Bill Bob, this is my blah, blah, blah. And they might come back to you and say, this is really great. If I were you, I'd improve on blah, blah, blah. And use all your connections that you already have and try to reach out to others when you can. I hope that helps.
Emily, anything you want to add?
From a public health master's, I did really emphasise on my dissertation in my application for the master's. So if you haven't already started your dissertation and you are thinking of going into something that's more research focused, like public health doesn't necessarily have to be research focused, but the course I did was focused on biostatistics, epidemiology and research methods, so it was really strongly focused on research. So I really wanted to ensure that my summer project was really driven by myself, and it gave me an opportunity to explore my own idea creation and actually implement that in a research project. So if you can do that for your summer project, if you haven't started already, generating your own idea, I'd really encourage you to do that, and that's looked at really, really highly, because even at master's levels, students still don't generate their own ideas. Students will still pick a project off a list, and you can always tell the difference sometimes between a student that comes with, I want to research this, versus someone who might be picking some of the list, in terms of, there's nothing wrong with picking it off the list, but if you're already doing that from an early stage and you're wanting to go into research, that's definitely a good thing to start with. So just emphasising that if you're going to do public health on those lines.
Thank you so much. I think that's a really, really good way to finish. Sorry, blood sugar's dropping, which is always a good thing in a diabetic and attempting to share a session. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all four of you. I love hearing your stories when you finish. You don't get to leave, like all of you, keep this in mind, but you don't get to leave and walk away. I'm going to be Googling you on LinkedIn to say, what are you doing now? When did you come back? It is amazing to hear the experiences, and we want you to not have to do it in front of everybody else, but go and now pester them, get those photos, get their consent so you can put it onto Instagram. But to network, because sometimes the networking once you finish, it's not necessarily the girls that you've been in class with or the people in your group. It's the people that you've met because they've been here before. They've got that same experience. You can network through Jane, myself, Ehab, everybody online, and through our employability team. But I want all of us to say a massive thank you to all of our panel for sharing their ideas, and thanks again to you guys as well for asking the questions. So thank you everybody. And the other people I really need to thank are James, Hayden, and all the team for doing all the work of setting this up today. And they've provided some food for you, so you don't get to just eat my jelly babies, so I need those. But just do hang around for the next half hour.